Chicago, January. Wind howled through the window seams, and a fresh snowstorm had turned the streets into a cold white sheet. The South Side Spin and Dry laundromat clock sluggishly clicked over to 1:58 a.m. Rayna Moore, 27, wore her Bluetooth headset and was folding the last stack of tablecloths. In her ear, the faint wheezing of her elderly mother sleeping on the other end of the line gave her a sense of comfort. During every night shift, Rayna kept the call open in case the nurse needed to reach her. She locked the back door and rounded to the front of the shop, only to spot a figure stumbling through the thick snow. A man, no coat, just a suit. His head drooped, legs wobbly. Under the flickering neon light, his face looked pale, hair disheveled, lips blue. "Hey!" Rayna shouted, stepping quickly toward him. Too late. He collapsed into the snow like a puppet with its strings cut. She dropped to her knees. The shirt was frozen stiff, and a frost-covered silver Rolex was on the exposed wrist. Rayna didn't know what she was doing, only that she had to do something. She hauled him upright and dragged him toward the front door she'd just locked. She punched in the code again and pulled him onto the freezing tile floor. The wind slammed the door shut behind them. 10 minutes later, he was bundled in blankets beneath industrial dryer number 4. Rayna rummaged through his suit pocket, searching for ID, and found a name engraved in silver on his badge: Elliot Graham, CEO, Viridian Systems. Her heart skipped. She'd heard of him, founder of a cybersecurity firm worth hundreds of millions. But why was he wandering alone in a snowstorm, dressed like he'd just left a board meeting in South Chicago? Just last year, a homeless man froze to death outside this same laundromat. She pulled out her phone to order a cab. Not Uber, no apps. She called a trusted service and paid out of pocket for the ride. "If you can't remember your own damn address, then I'll pick a safe hotel for you," she muttered, buckling his seatbelt. Right before the car pulled away, Elliot opened his eyes for a split second and spoke his first words that night. "You're the kind of people who matter." Rayna gently shut the car door and stood still, watching the red tail lights fade into the falling snow. 3:20 a.m. The laundromat was quiet. The air still smelled of detergent and warm dryers. Rayna took off her coat and slumped onto the floor, her eyes stinging, body aching. But deep in her chest, something stirred, something unfamiliar. She didn't know whether or not she'd changed someone's fate. Outside, the snow kept falling. 6 days later. It was a bitterly cold Tuesday morning in Chicago. At Southside Spin and Dry, the dryers still hummed, the door chime rang, and regulars called out coffee orders from the tiny waiting corner. Rayna was counting change in the till when the doorbell chimed for the third time in under 5 minutes. She didn't look up. "Machine 6 is busted. Use 7. And we're out of bloodstain remover, sorry." "Good thing I only brought a sweater," a calm, male voice replied. Rayna looked up. There he was, composed, alert, fully put together, the man she had dragged out of the snow nearly a week earlier. This time, his suit fit flawlessly. His silver-gray hair was neatly combed back, his steel-gray eyes locked onto hers like they remembered everything. "Elliot Graham," he said, "and I came to say thank you." Minutes later, they sat by the window in the waiting area. Rayna held a cheap styrofoam cup of coffee. He didn't touch anything. She was cautious. The rich saying thank you and disappearing. She'd seen that in plenty of movies. "How'd you get my number?" she asked. Elliot smiled. "I have people, but no one's been following you. I just wanted to know who pulled me out of a frozen death. Didn't take pictures, didn't call the press, didn't take a thing from me. In fact, paid for the taxi." Rayna shrugged. Nobody gets rewarded for posting a drunk guy in a snowstorm. I just didn't want a corpse in my laundromat. Straightforward, Elliot nodded. I like that. He placed a silver-gray envelope on the table. Don't, Rayna said. I don't take money. It's not money, Elliot replied. It's an offer. Rayna opened the envelope. Inside was a property transfer agreement. The name of the building is the Rockwell Terminal, an abandoned warehouse on the city's west side that was once used to manufacture circuit boards in Elliot's grandfather's time. A warehouse, she said dryly. An opportunity, he answered. It was tied up in fake leases and unpaid taxes, but I cleared it. It's mine now, and I want you to have it. Rayna laughed. You say that like you're offering me a slice of cake. No, he replied. I'm offering you a launch pad. You can do whatever you want with it. Housing, a community space, a bigger laundromat. Something better than sitting here catching water from a busted air vent. Rayna was silent. Her heart pounded. Her hand clutched the papers. Why me? She asked. Elliot leaned forward. Because you didn't turn away. She froze. Every opportunity in her life had come with strings, conditions, debts. But this? No. There's no such thing as free. What if I say no? Then I walk away and nothing changes. But if you say yes, placed a minor key on top of the envelope, then everything starts here. Rayna looked at him for a long time. That night, she opened the envelope in her tiny apartment above the laundromat again. All legal. Deed, cleared taxes, a handwritten note. You gave a stranger a chance to survive. Now, it's my turn to give you a chance to live. E.G. She stared at the key. Her hand trembled. She stood before a large, rusted gray metal door the next day. The building sat nestled in a deserted industrial zone. The snow had melted, water dripped from the tin roof. A stray cat darted past her feet. She took a deep breath, turned the key. The door creaked open. Inside was a cold, dark, abandoned space, vast and full of potential. High ceilings, vintage brick, solid steel frames. Dim light filtered through old, stained glass panels. She stepped inside. Her footsteps echoed. Once, workers had filled this place. Machines whirred, sweat fell, history lived. Now, it was just her. And a choice. 3 days later. Rayna sat in an old office buried deep inside the Rockwell Terminal, a room that had once been the operations center of the former electronics plant, now reduced to dust, tangled wires, and crumbling paperwork. She had brought her laptop, a cheap thermos of coffee, and a folding chair, the only dust-free thing in the room. Spread across the table were utility bills dated from 2017 to 2023, all listed as Linden Facilities Group, a company being paid nearly $4,980 monthly for electrical, HVAC, and security system maintenance. She had never heard of it. She typed the name into Google, no website, no phone number. Next, she searched the second name on the invoices, Axis Transport Services, paid $4,990 bi-weekly for internal logistics. No results. She flipped one invoice over. Company address? Just a P.O. box in Ohio. A chill ran down her spine. That night, Rayna walked through the building with a flashlight in one hand and her phone in the other, noting down which areas were still usable. The old conference room still had power. The ground floor plumbing seemed operational. But the second floor? A small set of rooms locked with an old iron keyhole, completely sealed. She bent down and peeked through the gap beneath the door. Inside were temporary LED lights, a desk, and dozens of new paper file boxes. No cobwebs, no dust. Someone had been using this space. Recently. The next morning, Rayna called Joey Marquez, an old friend from her printer repair job days. He was now a third-year law student obsessed with civil investigations. "I need you to check if these companies are even legal," she texted him. Joey called back within 30 minutes. "Rayna, all 3 companies don't have valid tax IDs. 2 of them share the same P.O. box. The third one was mentioned in a money laundering report last year. What's going on?" Rayna swallowed hard. "I think I was just gifted a front for laundering money." While checking pipes behind the basement wall that afternoon, Rayna discovered a hidden safe behind a crooked wooden cabinet. She scoured every desk drawer in the building. Finally, inside a jammed cabinet, she dug out a ring of rusted keys. One of them fit the safe. Inside were an external hard drive, a worn brown leather notebook, a folder of payment records and receipts. Stamped across the front of the notebook was a name, Carl R. Vexley. She had never heard of him, but one of the payment slips listed, "Payment, Linden Facilities Group, $4,980, approved by C.R. Vexley." At 9:30 p.m., Joey arrived with his laptop and 2 cans of Red Bull. This guy, Vexley, was the Chief Operations Officer at Veridian from 2015 to 2021, Joey said. Then he disappeared from the company registry. No public notice, just vanished. "Same company as Elliot," Rayna exhaled. "Exactly. And here's the kicker." Joey turned his screen toward her. A photo of Carl R. Vexley shaking hands with Elliot Graham at the ribbon cutting for a Veridian satellite office in 2018 was on it. "Elliot might have known about all of this," Joey said slowly. "Or maybe he gave you this place just to offload a burning pile of garbage." Rayna stood and walked out into the dim hallway of the warehouse. Wind crept through broken window panes. She gripped the staircase railing, her head spinning. Trust, the most fragile currency in the world, was on the line again. Did he give her this building because he knew it was hiding dark secrets, or because he genuinely believed she could fix it? Downstairs, the lights flickered. A shadow passed outside the glass door. Rayna sprinted down, but when she reached the back lot, she found only the iron gate gently swaying in the wind. Thursday night, Rayna sat alone in the old office, headlamp strapped on, laptop glowing stark against the dust-covered room. She plugged in the external hard drive. The first file is an Excel spreadsheet with hundreds of steady payments, divided weekly, each just under $5,000, low enough to avoid triggering bank alerts. The recipients: Linden Facilities, Axis Transport, Roche, Glen. Accounting and a more cryptic name: Pyramid Industries, Midwest Node. Rayna muttered, "What the hell is a Midwest Node?" Joey arrived at 8:50 p.m., carrying a pizza box and a paper bag of coffee. "Even the FBI needs dinner," he joked dryly. "They're not the FBI yet," Rayna replied, "but if we keep digging, they'll show up." She handed him the drive. "I want you to keep this, just in case." Joey looked up. His eyes were solemn for the first time that night. "Something happens," he said softly. 9:27 p.m. The sound of a car pulling up cut through the dead quiet of the industrial district. Rayna peered through the tall window. A sleek black BMW, tinted windows, engine still humming. She stepped outside. A man in his 40s, wearing a long black coat, emerged from the car. Hair slicked back, shoes gleaming, and a smile that didn't quite touch his eyes. "Rayna Moore?" he asked, as though they'd known each other. "Who's asking?" she said, standing her ground. "I'm Silas. We have a few shared interests around this property. I hear you're the new owner." Rayna didn't answer. Silas stepped closer, the yellow security light casting long shadows across his face. "This building used to run smoothly, quietly, consistently. Then suddenly, a girl shows up and starts asking questions. "Because the book smelled funny," she said coldly. He chuckled. "The thing is, not everyone picks up on that smell, and sometimes people sleep better when they let the smell be." "You threatening me?" Rayna asked bluntly. "No," Silas replied, his voice deepening. "Just advising. Some doors once opened can't be closed." He pulled a business card from inside his coat, jet black, with a single gold embossed letter, S, no address, no number. Rayna didn't take it. He set it down on the doorstep. "Wishing you clarity." Silas turned, got into the car, and drove off. The air left behind smelled like exhaust and something else. Danger, faint and lingering like smoke after a fire. Joey appeared behind her. "Who the hell was that?" "The first guy to threaten me without smiling," Rayna replied. The next morning, she walked into the newsroom at the Lakefront Herald. She met with Delaney Cruz, an investigative reporter known for exposing how city officials sold public land to shell foundations for pennies. "I have something," Rayna said, placing a USB drive on the desk, her eyes unwavering. Delaney studied her for a long time, then took the drive. "If this is real, you'll need more than a bulletproof vest." Rayna smirked. "I have a laundry vest, second floor." 2 days later, Rayna received a short email from Delaney. "It's real, and bigger than I thought." Monday morning. She noticed the floodlight in the yard had been smashed. The basement pipes had been tampered with. A strange pile of shredded paper appeared on her desk. Rayna called Joey. "I need cameras, new locks, and you're keeping another backup." "You scared?" Joey asked. "No," Rayna said. "I'm preparing." Sunday, 6:45 a.m. Rayna was making coffee when her phone buzzed. A message from Joey. Front page. Lakefront Herald. Investigative section. She opened her phone. The article took up the entire top half of the paper. Shell companies laundering money through Chicago's industrial real estate. Investigative exclusive. Byline, Delaney Cruz. The piece named names outright. Carl R. Vexley, the architect of the shell companies, Pyramid Industries. The central laundering hub and even Viridian Systems was mentioned indirectly through shady transactions. The article did not accuse Elliot Graham directly, but the trail was clear. The name Rayna Moore appeared 5 times, as the discoverer, the whistleblower, the one who didn't back down. 9:10 a.m. Rayna walked into the Rockwell Terminal building, now brighter thanks to the lights she and Joey had installed. But today, it wasn't quiet. 3 police cars were parked outside. A team from the IRS and the Financial Crimes Unit was preparing documents. A city attorney arrived, demanding to review the transfer contract. Rayna stood tall and pointed to the wall behind her office, where she had printed and framed the entire property transfer agreement. There, public, no hidden clauses. One officer smiled. "Not everyone hangs their property deeds on the wall." "I have nothing to hide," she replied. That afternoon, Joey arrived with some bad news. Several of our supply vendors just canceled contracts. The reason? Legal liability concerns. "Meaning?" Rayna frowned. "Meaning someone's calling them behind the scenes, threatening them." The next day, the water was shut off for unusual inspection. A sanitation contractor arrived with a bill triple the normal rate. An email from the tax office demanded a review of Rayna's records from the past 5 years. Rayna sat in silence in her office. It wasn't a coincidence anymore. It was a system trying to break her, without knives, just with laws. She called Elliot for the first time in a month. "You knew this could happen?" she asked directly. A long pause. I guessed it might, Elliot admitted, but not this fast. And you just left me to handle it? No, he said. I left you with a choice. That evening, Rayna called a meeting with the first people who had supported her. Joey, the one who kept the hard drive. Lana, a single mother living near the factory. Marco, the welder who reinforced the back doors. And Delaney, the reporter. I'm not a hero, Rayna said, eyes red. I just wanted to clean up a place that deserved it. But if they want to tear me down with laws and shadows, then I need you. Lana took her hand. You made us believe this place was worth something. Now it's time we help you keep it. One day later, Delaney published a second story. Legal Retaliation: How Systems Crush Whistleblowers. This time, she told Rayna's story, not as a victim, but as a living symbol. Someone who didn't let go, even when the water was shut off. Just 24 hours later, something unexpected happened. People online began sharing videos about Rayna. A law student group from another state launched a Defend Rockwell campaign. A finance professor offered free legal support. An anonymous older woman mailed in a $10,000 check with a handwritten note. You are the light among the rubble. Keep the fire. Rayna looked around the building once more. She saw not just brick walls, but opportunity. Not just a fight against the system, but the birth of a better one. Not just survival, but the chance to build something more enduring than anything that had come before. 3 weeks after the second article, Rockwell Terminal was no longer an abandoned warehouse. Under Rayna's hands and the community's support, it had transformed, brick by brick. First floor, a vocational training room for the unemployed, teaching welding, electrical repair, and sewing. A community food counter is open every afternoon for the homeless. A free book depot entirely donation-based. Second floor, a communal space, free yoga classes, peer support groups, and job search workshops. A local university donated a youth creativity lab with computers, drawing tablets, and a 3D printer. A new name was painted over the front gate. The Harbor House, a place to anchor. The place had found a rhythm. Every morning, someone knocked on the door before Rayna even arrived. Children ran laughing through the hallways after school. A former soldier recovering from PTSD became the lead instructor in electrical work. Rayna looked around. This was no longer her project. It belonged to everyone now. Tuesday night, Rayna returned late. A black envelope sat on her desk when she opened her office door. No return address. No one saw who left it. Inside was a single sheet of white paper, typed, "The brightest lighthouses are always the easiest to destroy. Don't forget that. No signature, no logo." But Rayna recognized the hand behind the message. She didn't panic. She prepared, called Delaney, sent her a scan of the note, mailed an additional copy of the hard drive to an anti-money laundering NGO in D.C. 4 more security cameras were installed around the building, and started Krav Maga lessons every Saturday at Marco's suggestion, the former Marine. "I don't train to fight," she said. "I train so I won't fall." A week later, Delaney released her third article. The Firekeeper, From Laundromat to Lighthouse. No clickbait, no rally cries, just the story of a young woman, an abandoned building, a forgotten neighborhood, and how they brought light back together. The article spread, but this time not just online. A nonprofit offered long-term funding. A university proposed building internship housing on the property. A group of retired lawyers volunteered free legal counsel. Rayna sat by the second-floor window, looking out at the street. Warm lights. Children's laughter. A volunteer helped an older woman push a cart up the steps. It wasn't about fighting anymore. It was about protecting what's right. That night, when she got home, Rayna opened the old wooden drawer under her bed, where she kept the originals of every document. She pulled out the main file folder and added a new label. Bold typeface. Legacy isn't what we leave behind. It's what we protect so others can keep walking forward. 1 month later. The early spring wind swept through the old red brick blocks of West Chicago. The sky was apparent, and the footsteps echoing through the old concrete yard no longer filled emptiness, because now there were people. The Rockwell Terminal, now officially the Harbor House, had been permanently transferred to Rayna Moore. No revocable clauses, no vague conditions, no temporary paperwork. Elliot Graham returned. They met at the main gate where sunlight lit up the freshly painted sign. Elliot was no longer in a suit. Today, he wore a plain shirt and khakis and carried a thick envelope. "This is the rest," he said, handing it over. The deed, the land rights, and an apology, this time in action. Rayna opened it and checked. Everything was in order, signed, stamped, notarized, irrevocable. "You don't owe me anything," she said calmly. "No," Elliot exhaled. "I owe myself redemption. And you owe the world this." He looked at the building behind them, where a group of students was hanging paper lanterns, preparing for the grand opening of the new community reading space. Rayna turned to him. "This time, if you stay, don't just watch. Roll up your sleeves." Elliot smiled. "I brought gloves." The community opening was held that Sunday. No cameras, no politicians, just real people living real lives. Children lining up to read stories, an older woman gifting her homemade peach pie, a veteran teaching a plumbing repair workshop. Rayna didn't give a speech. She stood in the back, watching sunlight filter through the tall windows, falling onto people she once thought would never care about this building. But now, they didn't just care. They protected it. A week later, she received a letter, no return name. Inside was a check for $25,000 and a handwritten note in blue ink. "You lit the lamp. We'll keep it burning." VK double quote. Rayna held the check without trembling. She photocopied it, sent it to Delaney, filed a bank report, and donated the full amount to a newly established scholarship fund, Lantern Legacy, a scholarship for the kind-hearted. That night, she sat alone on the 3rd floor, where she had once found the first black envelope. There was a soft light, an old wooden desk, and a journal. On its cover, she had printed the words from the day she started. "We don't need to be invited into this world. We can build the door and keep it open for others." Rayna sat on the front steps of the building, watching the kids play soccer. An older man drank tea beside a blooming pot of violets. Marco taught a class on air conditioning to 5 interns. Delaney chatted with a young journalist about steel pens, not microphones. A 9-year-old girl sat beside Rayna and asked, "Miss, who does the Harbor House belong to?" Rayna smiled, placing her hand gently on the girl's knee. "It belongs to the people who don't run when things go wrong, the ones who stay to fix it." The Harbor House wasn't a hotel, it wasn't a factory, and it wasn't something someone gifted Rayna. It was a beacon, a symbol, a place to return to. If you've ever thought a single act of kindness doesn't matter, remember Rayna Moore, a laundromat girl in a snowstorm, someone who didn't step over a fallen stranger. And by doing so, they built a home for an entire community,